A luxury SUV suddenly swerved toward the roadside puddle. The driver grinned. His glamorous mistress lifted her phone and started recording. A second later, muddy water exploded into the air, completely drenching the woman walking alone on the sidewalk. The mistress burst into laughter. The driver laughed too. Because the woman covered in mud wasn't a stranger. She was the ex-wife he had cheated on, discarded, and thrown away after she helped him build his company from nothing. As stunned pedestrians watched, the humiliated woman simply wiped the mud from her face and quietly walked away. Neither the ex-husband nor his mistress noticed that several people nearby had witnessed everything. And none of them recognized the quiet woman they had just humiliated. What they also didn't know was that within 48 hours, that cruel moment would threaten the $10 billion business deal he desperately needed to save his collapsing company. Why did the woman refuse to fight back? What secret about her new life didn't her ex-husband know? And how could one muddy puddle destroy everything he had spent years building? Before we continue, tell us in the comments, if someone humiliated you like this in public, what would you do? And if you enjoy dramatic stories of betrayal and justice, don't forget to subscribe because this story is only getting started. The woman standing on the sidewalk was 36-year-old Alessia Vosley. Mud dripped from her hair onto the cream-colored blouse she had worn to a charity luncheon only an hour earlier. Yet despite the humiliation, Alessia neither shouted nor cried. She simply took a slow breath, picked up the leather folder she had dropped, and continued walking. Several pedestrians stared in disbelief. Are you okay?" an elderly woman asked. Alessia forced a small smile. "I'll be fine. Thank you." She kept walking. 3 years earlier, such cruelty would have shattered her. Not anymore. Alessia had learned painful lessons. Years ago, she and Brant Rivenoak had been Scottsdale's favorite success story. Together they had built Rivenoak Commercial Builders from a tiny rented office into one of Arizona's fastest-growing construction companies. When banks rejected Brant's first business loan, Alessia had mortgaged jewelry inherited from her grandmother to provide startup capital. She handled clients, negotiated land purchases, prepared contracts, and often slept on the office couch during difficult projects. Back then Brant proudly told everyone, without Alessia, there wouldn't be a company. But wealth changed him. As money poured in, Brant purchased a $60 million estate overlooking Camelback Mountain, collected luxury cars, and joined exclusive private clubs. Success fed his ego. Then he met Celestine Pryor. Celestine came from a wealthy California family and loved attention almost as much as she loved expensive jewelry. Social media had turned her into a minor lifestyle celebrity. Private jets, designer handbags, and luxury vacations filled her pages. Brant became obsessed. At first, the affair was hidden behind late-night meetings and business trips. Alessia noticed subtle changes long before she discovered the truth. Brant stopped inviting her to events. He criticized her appearance. Family dinners disappeared. Still, Alessia fought for their marriage. She suggested counseling. "No," Brant said coldly. "I'm too busy fixing real problems." Months later, Alessia discovered hotel receipts, messages, and photographs. The betrayal broke her. Yet what truly destroyed their marriage happened during the divorce. Brant looked directly at her and said, "You were useful when I was poor. I've outgrown you." Those words haunted Alessia for years. Heartbroken, she left Arizona and moved to Aspen, Colorado, determined to rebuild her life. She had no idea that leaving Scottsdale would become the greatest blessing she had ever received. Aspen, Colorado, had given Alessia something Scottsdale never could: peace. Shortly after moving there, she began volunteering with a non-profit that restored historic ranch properties damaged by wildfires. The work was hard, but it helped heal her broken heart. That was where she first met Dorian Vailcrest. Unlike the wealthy men Brant admired, Dorian never arrived with bodyguards or tried to impress anyone. The first time Alessia saw him, he was repairing a broken fence alongside other volunteers, wearing worn jeans and work gloves. For months, she knew him simply as Dorian. A kind man who listened. A man who remembered small details. A man who showed up. Only later did she learn that Dorian owned Vailcrest Holdings, one of the largest luxury real estate investment companies in America, with projects stretching from Colorado to California. Years earlier, Dorian had lost his first wife to a sudden illness. The tragedy had pushed him away from public life. Determined to protect his family from constant media attention, he kept his private life fiercely guarded. Their friendship slowly became love. 2 years later, they quietly married at Dorian's mountain estate outside Aspen with only close family and trusted friends present. Very few people knew that Alessia had become Mrs. Alessia Vailcrest. Back in Scottsdale, Brant certainly didn't. As Alessia entered the lobby of the prestigious Scottsdale Regent Hotel, still covered in mud, several guests stared. Before she could reach the elevators, a sharply dressed chauffeur hurried inside. "Mrs. Vailcrest," he said respectfully, "Mr. Vailcrest asked me to bring you home immediately." Several guests exchanged surprised looks. Alessia nodded. "Thank you, Miles." As they walked toward the waiting black limousine, neither Alessia nor Miles noticed a hotel guest quietly taking a picture. Meanwhile, across town, Brant and Celestine were celebrating. Brant's company was facing severe financial trouble. Years of reckless expansion and expensive spending had pushed Rivenoak Commercial Builders close to collapse. His only hope was securing the $10 billion Canyon Crest luxury resort contract. The final signing meeting was only 2 days away. Confident that victory was guaranteed, Brant raised a glass. "After this deal closes," he boasted, "we'll be unstoppable." Celestine laughed. Then she uploaded the video of Alessia being splashed with mud. She added the caption, "Some people just can't move on. Stay classy." Within hours, the video exploded online. But not in the way Celestine expected. Thousands of comments flooded in. "Who treats another human being like this? That poor woman did nothing wrong. Disgusting behavior." By midnight, the video had already been viewed more than 3 million times. And somewhere high in the Colorado mountains, one particular viewer had just seen it. High in the mountains outside Aspen, Dorian Vailcrest sat alone in his private study overlooking snow-covered peaks when his executive assistant sent him a message. "Sir, you need to see this." Attached was the viral video. Dorian pressed play. His expression darkened instantly. He watched as a luxury SUV deliberately swerved toward the roadside puddle. He saw muddy water crash over Alessia. He heard the laughter. Then he watched his wife quietly walk away without saying a single word. Dorian immediately called downstairs. Minutes later, Alessia entered the study wearing fresh clothes. "You saw it," she said softly. Dorian nodded. "Why didn't you tell me?" Alessia lowered her eyes. "I didn't want this becoming something bigger. I spent years letting Brant control my emotions. I refuse to give him that power anymore." Dorian walked over and gently held her hands. "He may not have your emotions anymore," Dorian said quietly, "but actions still have consequences." The next morning, Dorian instructed his legal and corporate teams to conduct a full review of Rivenoak Commercial Builders. What they discovered shocked even them. Years of reckless spending had pushed Brant's company to the brink. Several loans were already overdue. The company had quietly laid off workers. Suppliers were complaining about delayed payments. Most importantly, Rivenoak Commercial Builders was one of 3 finalists competing for the $10 billion Canyon Crest luxury resort contract. The very project being financed by Vailcrest Holdings. Dorian remained silent for several moments after hearing the report. Then he said calmly, "Prepare everything for the final signing meeting." Across Scottsdale, Brant remained completely unaware. Sitting inside his glass-walled executive office overlooking the city, he confidently addressed his senior staff. "This contract is ours," Brant declared. "Once we sign, every financial problem disappears." One executive hesitated. "Sir, the online backlash is getting worse. Several business reporters have contacted us regarding the video." Brant waved dismissively. "It's internet nonsense. People will forget by next week." But people weren't forgetting. News outlets had started identifying Brant as the CEO in the viral clip. Investors began quietly questioning his judgment. Several board members privately expressed concern. Even Celestine seemed uneasy. "Maybe we should delete the video," she suggested during dinner. Brant shook his head. "Relax. In 48 hours, we'll be celebrating a $10 billion deal." Neither of them knew that the man funding that deal had already made his decision. And in just 2 days, Brant would walk into a boardroom expecting the greatest victory of his career. Instead, he would face the most devastating humiliation of his life. The grand ballroom of the Scottsdale Imperial Resort buzzed with anticipation. Executives, bankers, attorneys, and investors filled the luxurious conference hall, all gathered for the final signing of the $10 billion Canyon Crest luxury resort project. Brant Rivenoak walked into the room wearing a custom-tailored Italian suit, confidence written across his face. Today, he believed, would save everything. His company's financial troubles would disappear. The overdue loans would be paid. His reputation would be restored. Beside him, Celestine adjusted her designer dress and whispered, "I told you everything would work out." Brant smiled. "I've already won." Several executives exchanged uneasy glances, but nobody said anything. Moments later, the chairman stepped onto the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed with the final contract signing, our principal investor would like to address everyone personally." The room immediately fell silent. The massive doors opened. A tall man entered. Every investor in the room stood. Brant's confident smile vanished. It was Dorian Vailcrest, the billionaire owner of Vailcrest Holdings, the man financing the entire project. Brant quickly forced a smile and stepped forward. "Mr. Vailcrest, it's an honor." Dorian raised a hand, stopping him. "Before discussing business, I'd like everyone to watch a brief video." Confused murmurs spread across the room. The giant projection screen illuminated. Brant froze. It was the viral video. Everyone watched in complete silence as Brant deliberately drove through the muddy puddle, drenching a woman walking peacefully along the sidewalk while Celestine laughed and recorded the entire incident. When the video ended, the room was deathly quiet. Brant's face turned pale. Celestine looked ready to faint. Dorian finally spoke. "The woman in this video is my wife." Gasps echoed throughout the ballroom. Brant stumbled backward. "No, that's impossible." Dorian calmly continued. 3 years ago, Alessia rebuilt her life after being betrayed by someone she trusted. Unlike some people, she chose dignity over revenge. At that exact moment, the ballroom doors opened again. Alessia entered. Elegant, graceful, and composed. Every eye turned toward her. Brant could barely speak. "Alessia, you're married to him." Alessia simply nodded. Tears filled Brant's eyes. "Please. I'm sorry. I made a terrible mistake." Dorian's voice remained calm. "A misunderstanding is accidental. What you did was intentional." He looked around the room. Vailcrest Holdings invests in people, not simply companies. Character matters. Then came the final blow. Rivenoak Commercial Builders is officially removed from consideration. The contract was immediately awarded to a respected family-owned construction company known for treating employees and clients with integrity. Within weeks, banks withdrew emergency financing from Rivenoak Commercial Builders. Business partners walked away. The board removed Brant as CEO. Eventually, he lost control of the company he had once proudly called his empire. Celestine quietly ended their relationship shortly afterward. Months later, Brant unexpectedly encountered Alessia during a charity fundraiser in Aspen. For the first time in years, he sincerely apologized. Alessia looked at him gently. "You didn't lose everything because of one puddle, Brant," she said softly. "You lost it the moment you stopped valuing people." As Alessia walked away beside Dorian, Brant finally understood a painful truth. Success built on arrogance never lasts. The moral of this story is simple. Never humiliate, betray, or look down on others because you never know what battles they have survived, who they may become, or how quickly life can reverse your fortunes. Character will always matter more than wealth, status, or power. The way you treat people when you think they cannot help you reveals who you truly are.